Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is Bill Olson, our trading anchor, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. Let's get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are slipping this morning, with S&P futures down 0.15%, Dow futures down 0.08%, and NASDAQ futures down 0.15%. The drop in futures suggests that the rally that drove the S&P 500 to an all-time high may pause as a concern. China is curtailing. Loan growth has tempered the optimism that was initially boosted by the U.S. economic rebound. NASDAQ sees decline after large U.S. tech stocks rose yesterday, including Facebook, which had a surge to a new peak. The dollar and treasury yields remain steady. Oil is on the rebound as it heads back towards $60 a barrel, though this could be affected by the expectations of a breakthrough in talks to revive an Iranian nuclear accord being scaled back, reducing the odds that crude flows from the country would pick up further. Over in Europe, the Stock 600 index erased pandemic-related losses, with miners among the biggest gainers as copper surged. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Well, Shane, I've been watching the S&Ps all morning long. They were down, much further than they are now. They're only down 0.09% right now. Before they were down 0.24. So you have seen the S&P start to rebound and push a little higher. You look up Europe. Europe was closed yesterday, but their markets are open today. They are pushing higher, and you're seeing a little benefit from that because the S&Ps are starting to rebound. The sentiment is still overall positive. I mean, you got to remember the government spending and the vaccination rollouts are really good, strong indicators. And the lifting of restrictions throughout the U.S., that's another positive. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a turnaround before the market open and see the futures turn green. The Credit Suisse story, they're going to be taking a $4.7 billion write-down to a hedge fund meltdown. That's huge. The stocks could probably go a little lower from here, so I'm waiting to pick some up, when I see a 9 in front of that price tag for Credit Suisse. Biden's plan to overhaul the corporate taxes is likely going to hit the pharmaceutical and technology companies the hardest, is what I'm reading, so you want to keep an eye on those shares over the next week as his plans roll out a little more. Later today, the International Monetary Fund is they're expected to raise its forecast for this year's global growth in response to the U.S.'s fiscal stimulus and vaccination levels. So these are things that I'm watching right now this morning. I'm still keeping an eye on the S&Ps, and we'll see what happens when the market opens, Shane.
Moving into earnings to watch today, Bill, what are we seeing as far as earnings go?
Well, I'm still waiting on Paychex to come out. That's ticker PAYX. The earnings haven't come out yet. They're due out probably in the next 15 minutes. But I did notice this morning, Lindsay, that's ticker LNN, Larry, Nancy, they reported a 22-cent beat on higher revenue. And Duck Creek Technologies, that's ticker DCT, David, Charlie, Tom, they missed by 2 cents, but I did it on higher revenue and they raised guidance. So what you're seeing from there is the stock's moving higher because of that nice, important guidance raise.
Well, what are we seeing as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Well, I got Lamb Weston. That's ticker LW. These guys are going to be reporting Wednesday after the close. They're priced for a 7.5% move. The expected EPS is 52 cents. Now, the stock is now fairly priced, and while yesterday's run-up typically is a positive sign going into an earnings announcement, I just have a hard time with this one because, I'm recalling what the CEO said in last quarter's earnings report, and he said North America and European shipments were approximately at 85% of prior year levels and will likely remain soft for the remaining of the quarter. And he said that in the January press release. Now, I do believe a beat is still possible. I see that Bank of America came out and they said go long the stock going into earnings. But I'm cautious on Lamb Weston. I'm not quite sure that, what's going to happen here. So I took my position off yesterday, but I'm still watching it very closely. But here's one, RPM Industries. This is ticker RPM, Richard Paul Mary. They're also reporting Wednesday, tomorrow, after the close. And they're priced for a 4.7% move when they release. Now, on February 18th, the company said that it now expects financial results for the third quarter ending February 28th to be below its prior guidance, and they're saying they're gonna be below the prior guidance due to the impact of the severe winter weather across the U.S. So RPM will probably likely miss earnings, and they're probably going to come in weaker than expected. ConAgra, that's ticker CAG, Charlie Apple Grace, they're reporting earnings Thursday afternoon, price for a 5.5% move. EPS is at 58 cents. Notice the put volumes were a little elevated. The call put ratio was 0.93 yesterday. Stars Constellation brand, that's ticker STZ, Sam Tom Zebra. That's priced for a 5.5% move, and they release earnings Thursday morning. The EPS is $1.52. One thing I noticed was very heavy put activity yesterday, very high put volumes. Call put ratio was at a 0.59. That's not typical as you head into earnings unless something negative is going to occur. Levi Strauss, they're also reporting Thursday afternoon. That's ticker LEVI, Larry Edward Victor India. They're priced for a 9% move, and the EPS there is 27 cents.
Well, moving into economic reports, Bill, what are we seeing as far as reports go?
8:55, you got the Red Book, the Johnson's Red Book on retail sales coming out. And at 10 o'clock, the job openings, the JOLTS index will be released. So watch for those two reports today.
Moving into our morning critical insights, starting things off with a couple SPACs, one on Sarcos Robotics. It's set to become publicly listed through a $1.3 billion valued merger with Rotor Acquisition. That's ticker ROT. Rotor share price is up 4.91% in pre-market. The second one being a mobile retail store Enjoy Technology, which will be merging with blank check company Marquis Rain Acquisition, ticker MRAC, and they're currently in talks for a possible SPAC merger expected to be valued $1.6 billion. In other news, Brinks, ticker BCO, is set to acquire PAI, a provider of ATM services in the U.S. for $213 million. In other news, Romeo Power, ticker RMO, has made a long-term supply agreement with PACCAR, ticker PCAR, in which Romeo will be a battery supplier for Peterbilt 579 and the 520 BEVs in the U.S. and Canada through 2025. Romeo share price is up 5.99% in pre-market. One on Signet Jewelers, ticker SIG. The company is set to acquire Roxbox, a jewelry rental subscription platform. Signet share price is up 0.71% in pre-market. News from Google, ticker GOOGL. The parent Alphabet is reportedly planning to switch to using SAP, that's ticker SAP, for its core financial software from Oracle in May. In other news, Credit Suisse, ticker CS, said today that it is expecting to report a first quarter pre-tax loss of about $960.4 million after the banking giant suffered a $4.69 billion hit following liquidation of the U.S. hedge fund Archegos. In other news, Dynavax Technologies, ticker DVAX, and the French vaccine maker Valneva are launching a phase 3 trial of their COVID-19 vaccine after reporting positive results. Dynavax share price is up 3.15% in pre-market. Other COVID vaccine news, Pfizer, ticker PFE, will supply 20 million COVID-19 vaccines to South Africa, with the first batch arriving later in April, while Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, will be providing the country with 31 million doses at a price of $10 a dose. Pfizer's share price is up 0.06%, while J&J share price is down 0.13%. Lastly, on vaccines, the European Union has blocked deliveries of 3.1 million doses of AstraZeneca, their COVID-19 vaccine, that's ticker AZN, to Australia after implementing a more stringent oversight of vaccine exports to catch up with the inoculation rollouts in Britain and the U.S. So AstraZeneca's share price is down 0.48% in pre-market. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Well, Shane, I break my news alerts down into sector-based alerts as well as event-based alerts. That way I can really jump on the hot stories when they hit the tape. I'm looking at my, FANG alert that I have set up here, and I see Amazon's share price of the U.S. digital ad market grew to 10.3% last year. That's up from 7.8% in 2019. I noticed Morgan Stanley lowered its price target on Apple to 156 from 164 this morning. And, there was an upgrade on, Google, where ISI started Alphabet at Outperform with a $25 stock price. That's $2,525. My Dow Jones 30 alert, CVX, that's, Chevron, Goldman cut its price target this morning down to 113 from 117. Unless oil starts to run heavy, I don't think, Chevron will be able to stay at these levels. Boeing, ticker BA. Vietnam has allowed Boeing 737 planes to start flying again in the country after they were suspended in 2019 over those safety concerns. And let's take a look at Intel. Let's keep an eye on Intel today. President Biden is planning an April 12th meeting, which the Intel CEO will be part of. And the discussions are going to be focused on the semiconductor supply chain issues that are affecting the U.S. car production. Apparently, the U.S. auto industry is calling for government help as it's warning of an impact of a chip shortage. And because of that, President Biden's reacting, and he's going to have a sit down with the CEOs of the chip companies. So that's really interesting to see what happens there. My option headlines went off on AMAT this morning. The 30-day option implied volatility is at 45. Now, this is compared to the 52-week range of 33 to 75. And the cruise stocks are starting to heat up again. Royal Caribbean, that's ticker RCL. The 30-day option implied volatility is at 52, where the 52-week range is 50 to 198 after the CDC issues an updated guidance on travel for fully vaccinated people. My FDA alert went off on Noravax, that's ticker NVAX, Nancy Victor Apple X-ray. They're expanding their COVID-19 vaccine trials to children and teens.
Can you go one more time, Bill? I think you said Noravax. It's Novavax.
Oh, I'm sorry. And on Novavax, that's ticker NVAX, they're expected to expand their COVID-19 vaccine trials to include both children and teens. Ticker MRVI, Mary Richard Victor India. They just announced a secondary offering of 15 million common shares, Class A shares, to accredited investors. My guidance alert went off on Phillips 66. That's ticker PSX, Paul Sam X-ray. The U.S. refiner is predicting that its first quarter loss would be larger than expected. That's not good for PSX. Events, AMAT, Applied Materials, they got a company-sponsored meeting today that's starting at 11 a.m. General Motors, they have a company-sponsored meeting today on Factory Zero. Now, earlier this morning, GM also said that it sold more than 780,000 vehicles in China in the Q1. That's a 69% increase from last year. So it's interesting news on General Motors this morning. Also, I see, Intel, I mentioned they're having a company-sponsored event where the discussions are really going to be focused on the latest Intel hardware and software portfolio that's happening a little later this morning as well.
Moving into our Trade Talk picks for today, I'm picking one Bill just spoke about, Applied Materials, ticker AMAT. Just like he said, the company's got a sponsored meeting going on at 11. Deutsche Bank actually raised its price target to $150 on the stock, and call volume was really strong yesterday. So those are three good signs that the stock will be moving higher today. It's already up 40 cents, which is a good sign, but also not too high to get a decent buy-in. So it could easily run up to 146. So this is one that I'm expecting to see some positive move from. What's your pick looking like today, Bill?
I'm going to go with Goldman. The shares are down. They're down. It's down a little bit this morning. You're seeing it 322 bid to 324 offer. I think yesterday's sell-off was a bit overdone.
The fact is Goldman is involved in all of these major IPOs this year, and the earnings are out next week. Now, I do expect to start to see a turnaround here and for it to move a little higher going into earnings. These earnings are scheduled for Wednesday, April 14th. I think we might be at a low right here, and it looks like a good entry point to start bidding up some shares of Goldman Sachs, ticker GS, for a run into for the start of a run into earnings.
Well, let's go ahead and move into what's hot off the press. So looking at the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. So looking at our headlines streaming in, Bill, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
Let's talk about Vera Bradley. That's ticker VRA, Victor Richard Apple. They're going to do a collaboration with Crocs to create a new footwear collection. That's CROX, Crocs, Vera Bradley, VRA, Victor Richard Apple.
One on Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics, ticker BTX. The company just appointed Howard Fedorov as the CEO. One on Kohl's, ticker KSS. Kohl's is opening a new e-commerce fulfillment center over in Ohio.
Here's one on Walmart, Walmart Plus. This is their shopping network, their group. Morgan Stanley thinks that they're hitting a wall with the Walmart Plus operations. I think membership is starting to stagnate specifically. Here's one on Verizon, ticker VZ. Verizon Mobile Security unearths new cyber threats for business.
One on Nordic American, ticker NAT. Nordic American Tankers expects an increase in rate for ships.
I see Barclays raised their price target on Honeywell, ticker HON, to $230 from $225.
Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's it.
Same here. So that'll do it for what's hot off the press. But traders, keep in mind you can receive the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out for a free trial today. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Monday. I had Pinterest, ticker PINS. It opened at $79.37 and closed at $79.53 for a 0.20% gain. So a relatively flat day, maybe went a little bit higher before the close. But if you did happen to wait a little bit before you got in, maybe around close to 10 a.m., there was actually a bit of a dip and it went down to $77 a share. So it was a decent rebound for anybody who caught it there. Otherwise, we made some chump change, but we didn't lose. So we're still up in the end. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
Well, I did good with Lamb Wesson. That's ticker LW. When I spotted it yesterday morning, the stock was already bid up. The bid was sitting at $79.99. Now, as soon as the market opened, boom, this stock caught fire out of the gate and it ran up to $81.32. At that price, it was really overvalued and then it started to pull back. Now, if you recall, I wanted to get in under $80. I was thinking $79.50, $79.75. And so it did later. They pulled back down to that level, to near that level, which was another good entry point. And, I was able to run the stock to 80.83 yesterday, which easily beat the $1 goal or 1%, which just took some patience. But yeah, it was there. Lamb Wesson was a winner yesterday.
Nice. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.